Hey guys, welcome to SOP Mix Studio Umbiamas, conectando Aruba com o mundo via vídeo podcasting. Conectar conosco, compartilhar ideias e histórias para nos inspirar e para conan abrir. SOP Mix Studio é plataforma de podcast na Aruba. Follow-nos no Facebook, subscribe no YouTube ou na plataforma de podcast preferida. Escute o podcast preferido que hora e onde que está. SOP Mix Studio, powered by Credits, botou ideia, Credits educava e prepara a abo para vir um empresário exitoso, de business plan, guia personal e préstamo para negócio até com 100,000 florin. Vira para mês donho com Credits. Subway, passa na Subway para o sop, salada, wrap ou flatbread e mais fresco. Com 7 localidades rond Aruba, não está cerca de Ibo. Subway. Swing Masters, organizando events, conferences of weddings, Mr. de luz, sound, staging, DJ, trussing of flat screen, Swing Masters está claro para ser boa festa um êxito. Swing Masters. E agora, SOP Mix Studio é plataforma de podcast de Aruba, está apresentando.
Yo, you don't know, we going global with this thing. Boom, top class, university, what a global opportunity. Aruba University, take that, come join me. Together for the local experience, spread the culture over the nation. Let's build up the community, learning and teaching in diversity.
And good afternoon, bon tardi, turhindi.
Bon tardi, good afternoon, Cherise, how are you?
I'm doing awesome. Today's such a lovely day. We're live on Facebook and Soppy Mix and all the social media channels.
Our second program here on Soppy Mix. Hi, how are you? My name is Deborah Alexander. I'm the coordinator for the Center for Lifelong Learning, and together with Cherise, we're hosting this program, straight up conversation about education. But Cherise, tell people who you are.
Because I am the coordinator of Office of Student Affairs and Marketing, and this program is powered by the University of Aruba, and it's our intention to share island stories, ask challenging questions, learn more about each other so we can learn to respect and understand each other from where we come from, and we hope to empower you, our listeners and viewers out there. Yes, you over there. And if you have any comments and questions, feel free, put it in the comment box and we will get back to you.
And it's not about island stories, but educational trajectory. That's very important. And why? Because we think we can learn from our guests, and people at home can be inspired.
Correct. And it's a lifelong learning. You are the coordinator center for lifelong learning, but one of the things that university is very adamant about is that we all are lifelong learners, and by simply having fruitful conversation, we can be open and learn more about each other, so as a nation we can grow. So, our guests for today, would you like to introduce them?
I will introduce the first one. She's not unknown to many, and she was actually the highlight of our conversation or seminar last week Friday on International Women's Day, or in light of International Women's Day. She is Mrs. Mervine Kok.
The one and only.
The one and only. Oh my gosh. And next to Mervine, because we'll get into Mervine, we also have Joshua Garcia.
Yes.
Welcome, both of you.
Hi. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, so now who should we start? Because they have such interesting story, and Deborah, we only have an hour because today at the University of Aruba at 5:30 we have our information night where everybody is invited. So all our viewers and listeners, we know na Universidade de Aruba, sera conheci, que conhecem com brinda, quem não está, anto vai ter conversação com os estudantes, anto Joshua está inang, mas sera conheci o the academic foundation.
Yes.
So we're telling up is done Joshua.
Tell us
Hi,
something.
tell us a bit about who you are and a little bit about your trajectory.
Yes, of course. So, like everyone said, my name is Joshua Garcia. I am 22 years old, and I like to consider myself to be a very creative person, dabbling into many different creative fields, such as graphic designing, dancing, singing, and all that good stuff. I actually met this beautiful lady right here at the University of Aruba. And that was back in 2016.
Yes,
Really?
really?
That was
So
back in
long
2016.
already?
So long
Yes.
ago.
I
I just
Yes.
look at him like he just finished. Didn't
No.
he?
But he did so many interesting things. But tell us.
No, yeah. So after I finished the academic foundation year here at the University of Aruba, I went to Toronto. I studied there for about 3 years, and that's where I obtained a degree in graphic design. And I'm super happy that I did that because I got to learn so many new ways of living and got to see a different world. And now that I'm back here on the island, I took a lot of those experiences that I've learned over there, and now I'm implementing them into my everyday life, which also brought me to being a content creator today. So.
All right, but when you made the choice, when you made the choice to go to the academic foundation year, were you clear? Why did you make that choice? And then the second question would be, how did it prepare you to go abroad?
So when I graduated from Colegio Arubano here in 2016, I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I finished Colegio and I was stuck in this sort of corner where, oh my God, what am I supposed to do now? Where do I want to take my life in the future? And that year was the first year that they introduced the academic foundation year. And it was promoted everywhere at Colegio Urbano. And I was like, you know what? It seems like such a fun opportunity to get to know myself better maybe and get to know what I like and what I don't like. So I went into the program with no expectations, actually. I just went into the program hoping to learn new ways of studying, new ways of doing things, and just learning a little bit more about me. And I came out, honestly, really happy with the experience. It taught me many things that Colegio was not able to teach me. Things on a higher level, on a university level. And I also got to meet amazing people that I cherish till this day. And that.
Awesome. Awesome. So now before we go to our another guest, because I'm so anxious to hear about her story as well, we think it's very important to have fruitful conversations, but to have fruitful conversation, we have to know a little bit more about who you really are. So what would your friends say about you, or what would you like to share with us that nobody knows about you?
Ooh, getting into the deep questions.
Not too dark.
Not too dark. Just the surface level. So. Right.
No, I think we should know each other a bit more. So,
all right. So I would say my friends would describe me as someone who's very outgoing. A lot of the people that know me or got to know me on a deeper level would say that I'm very passionate for whatever I set myself up to, whether that is something on an what's the word I'm looking for? Educational level. There we go. And also on a creative and personal level. So I'm very hardgoing. I'm very when I want something in life, I always work towards getting it, and I try not to, bring myself down or to let myself know that, hey, anything is possible. Just go for it. Don't hold yourself back. So I would say that's how my friends would.
In a nutshell.
Yes, basically, I'm very straightforward to what I really want and just work.
Now,
hard
not a
towards.
straightforward person, and I don't know if
Please
is the
introduce
word
our
that
other guest
best
because
I just have to say, I've been working at the university 11 years. 11 years I came back, and
they're so long, Deborah.
yeah, I think you're a year older than me. Yeah, 12.
Where's our business director, Patrick? Are you tuned in?
Yeah, we've been working at Patrick long, but I met Marvine then, and I can say up until today, Marvine has not aged a bit, but also what I think is she has been quite straightforward in who she is. So Marvine, tell our audience a bit about, let's start with your educational trajectory.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, after I finished Colegio Urbano, I worked 1 year teaching. No, I went to APA.
Oh yeah.
Then for 3 years. In those days, it were 3 years. Nowadays, for 4 years. Because I was too young for getting a scholarship. Okay, then I chose to go to APA. After APA, I worked 1 year teaching at PS, the Tinder school.
oh yeah.
In the 2nd grade. But I was too young. I couldn't handle those kids because I was a kid. So
Because you were like, what, beginning of your 20s then?
yes. And then I went to the dance academy in Rotterdam for 2 years and 1 year in Amsterdam.
Okay.
And
So
I
what-
danced with Noes Violet. I danced with Benjamin Felix Stahl. But I didn't like that word so much because it didn't pay anything.
Talking about what we were talking.
Right. When we talk about culture, it's like, you would want to tell your kids, you should do it, but then it's like,
Yes.
if it's not paying, why should
No,
you
it's
tell
a
your kids?
space. Because we went on a tour to Belgium, to Luxembourg, and what you get is 10 flooring. What do you do with 10 flooring? You can
Back then,
eat.
yeah, it might have been. But let
Yeah.
me just for my back, even though it's clear. So when you really finished and going to this APA, you always did know that you wanted to go into creative arts, dancing.
Yes.
That
That
really
was
your
my
passion.
niche, my
That was your
passion.
passion,
But
yeah.
in Holland, it was so disappointed. So I thought, okay, then I will do something else because I'm very intelligent. I have brains. So I went to the hogeschool and I did three masters together, curriculum, pedagogiek, and orthopedagogiek. And then when I finished HBO, I went to the University of Leiden and I finished University of Leiden in 20 months. In 20 months, I finished.
So what was your drive then in
My
that?
drive was I need to study and finish. That was my drive.
Get
And
it
because
done.
I have to work, I was a working student. So I work alongside studying, cleaning houses, cleaning kantoren.
Yeah.
At one point, I met my husband. I'm 40 years with him. I'm still with him.
Oh, he's still with you? You always want
He's still with me. I have to give him a word.
credit. Yeah.
At some point, we needed to dig a big hole in Bevenwaard, and they pay us like 6,000 florin, and that we use for 6 months to live and study out of the money.
Oh, wow.
So what we did is we work for 3-4 months, we save, and then we can go to school. It was very difficult for us, but it's the right thing to do. It makes you very, very, very powerful, and it gives you a lot of discipline.
I say a lot of
Yeah.
students these days think, you see some at the university they work and they study, but many students who go abroad don't always think of working and study. While it really adds to who you are, expands your CV definitely, but it presents you with discipline, I think, because you have to make choices.
Yes.
It all comes down to
Not,
choices.
not only discipline, I think what Mervini also mentioned, you get focused because if you
Yeah,
want
focus,
something
yes.
and you're passionate about it, you have to work for it.
You have to
'Cause I
work for
remember when
it.
I back in those days, I also had to work, and it was like, look here, girl, you got to finish what you need to do. You got to work. You have to have your money because you need to live, but keep your eyes on your goal.
But
And
you
know
need to organize yourself
Correct.
very well,
Correct.
because there is a lot of temptation, because you have friends. Let's go to Brussels. Let's go to Paris. Let's go to England. And if you go with them, you don't study.
Right.
But isn't it also, that part is also important, I think, when you go to to abroad to study? Because I see many students, Nanta Jis by Hulanda, Nanta studia binkas, 2-3 times a year they go. While there's also a moment of expanding your knowledge, and you have to make choices.
Yeah,
Um,
but it's
finding
also
a
about the
balance.
money.
Yes,
Correct.
Because you need
No
the
money,
money
no
to go
love. Right.
to Switzerland, to
Backpacking.
Belgium.
Yeah.
Yes, and hiking.
Because many
Yes.
people think nowadays also just in between going doing this. I mean, Mr. Kid, I think a 3-star hotel, which I'm used to, but there are other ways of, staying in hostels, a way of stretching your money, but being
Yeah.
creative and that discipline and drive
Definitely.
to manage it.
Yeah.
So-
But before we go, because we have a very interesting team, because it's International Women's Month, and the gender equality policy has just been accepted. We talked about it during the conference at the university, and we have Joshua and Mervyn here to talk about. But before we go to that, like I said, having fruitful conversation, you have to know actually who is sitting in front of you. Mervyn, what would you like to share with us about you? Who is Mervyn? And you can share anything that you haven't shared before, if you like.
I'm very straightforward.
That we don't
What
know.
many people don't know is that I love to write erotic poem. And in those erotic poems, my biggest challenge is don't put a gender on it. So the one that is reading the
Okay.
poem,
They can
they
interpret
can put
it.
a man to woman, a man, a woman. I don't care.
Wow.
And that is a challenge.
Wow.
You know, and that's the theme. The theme is breaking the bias. So now, when we talk about breaking the bias, you know, we learn about the gender equality policy. There are like 4 focus area. But when we talk about bias, you know, when I just look up, they say the definition would be gender bias, a tendency to prefer one gender over another. It is a form of unconscious bias or implicit bias, which occurs when one individual unconsciously attributes certain attribute and stereotype to another person. Now, let's just jump right into it. And how is this situation in Aruba to your experience? Let's start with Joshua.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, I know. We're diving in deep
right away. Well, growing up here on the island, growing up, I felt as if we were living in a very sort of black and white society where even as a kid, you would hear certain things like a man or a boy should act a certain way and a girl or a female should act a certain way. And growing up with that constantly in my head, it was a challenge to sort of break out of that, black and white box and sort of say, hey, you know, it's okay to be not what society is asking you or telling you to be. You know, it's fine if, for example, a boy feels much more, feminine and sort of express themselves in that sort of feminine way. And that's where I sort of really found my way growing up. So I'm really happy.
How did you express your way?
The feminine way? Like my way? So again, growing up, going from elementary school to high school, it was really hard because I was trying to find my ways of fitting in, right? And when, dealing with kids in high school isn't always the easiest for everyone. But then I realized as I was growing up, I went to university, I went abroad to Toronto. I opened my eyes to many more ways of expressing yourself and different ways of living, especially when I went abroad. And that is also something that I always recommend kids to do, is to go abroad and experience something outside of your own walls and just to experience different life. And that's where I sort of found my inner spirit and my inner self that really came out. It was always there, but constantly having to deal with negative, sort of feedback here on the island, it sort of held me back in a way. So when I finally was able to spread my wings fully, that's how I sort of found where I was comfortable with. And that's where I also realized that, I've always had sort of a feminine side to me, but I never really let it shine because of, criticism. So when I went abroad, I was like, yes, this is the time to just spread my wings and fly and not care about what others have to say.
And having been abroad, because many of us, we go abroad, we are formed abroad, and then you come back, do you feel like you're being pushed into that box again, or is it...
No.
Yeah,
never.
More accepting.
No,
more accepting than before.
It's definitely more accepting. I'm really happy that the newer generation now is sort of really understanding that, hey, life is not just about this or that. It can be whatever you want it to be. You can form your own identity.
Yeah, before we go to another guest, I actually listened to your podcast, Carolina Spam, shout out to you, who's going to be on a program next week. You were talking about it, and especially the boxing in and having these conversations with the parents is also very challenging for some, because it's like, it's my mother, it's my father, I don't want them to hate, love me. What would you say to them before I go to the other guests? I just wanted, because it is a topic that is still very much taboo on the island. Those youngsters, how do they start this conversation with your parents? How did that go for you?
For me personally, it was a very scary experience, because, it's always sort of scary to sit the parents down and tell me, hey, this is how I want to identify myself. This is who I am. It's always sort of like nerve-wracking. But I'm very, very happy and blessed to say that my parents have always been super loving towards me. They've always been super supportive, and I'm really happy that I was able to have that experience. But I know that there's a lot of people here on Aruba, especially here on the island, that they are not so fortunate to have that experience with their parents.
But why was it nerve-wracking if your parents are supportive? Just just so can help those other kids over that bump.
It was still very nerve-wracking, even though I knew my parents left me from the start. No matter how I chose to express myself, it was still very nerve-wracking, because you constantly see others and their experience, you hear from others and their experience, and there's always that tension of what if they won't really see eye to eye? What if there is that possibility that, they won't really embrace who I am? So it was very nerve-wracking going into it.
And I just want to add, I know Mervine is there, but this is going to be a very interesting straight-up conversation. You said, at school, friends, classmates would tease you. Could you say there was any aspect of bullying growing up?
Personally, for me, bullying, no, like not severe bullying, because I know that there are some
Bullying
people that
is
go through
bullying.
bullying. Yeah,
Yeah,
but
it
I was.
that's why
True, bullying is bullying. True.
Yeah.
No, it was, yeah, especially during elementary school and middle school. I definitely basisschool and then going to MAVO, there was always sort of that.
And coming back to the role your parents played, were you able then already to go to your parents because you were afraid to go to them after when you really identified who you were?
Yeah.
But in that process of bullying and the reasons why you were bullied for, did you discuss that with your parents?
I didn't really discuss it with them, the bullying part, because I sort of wanted to not bring them into the situation that I was going through, because again, I wouldn't know how they would react. Yeah. So I would have rather, stick with it and deal with it by myself. And then I realized that, hey, after I went to my mother first, because me and my mother were really, really, really close. So I went to her first, and after I opened up to her about, who I am and how I choose to express myself, she was very accepting. She was very loving. She was very, very, very much there for me.
Shout out to mom.
Shout out to mom. Yeah. Love you so much. And afterwards, I realized this isn't all that bad. It's not.
It's liberating.
It's very liberating, exactly.
And talking about liberating,
Yes, but before we go to our next guest, for those of you who tuned in, this is Straight Up Conversation About Education podcast every Thursday at 3:30 to 4:02 with myself and my colleague
Deborah Alexander, coordinator for the Center for Lifelong Learning.
Yes. So, and tonight, don't remember, for those of you tuning in now, you can come to the University of Aruba. Our doors open at 5:30, and our service club CKI will have a delicious snack box waiting for you in case you don't get time to go home. And it's for the benefit of our students as well, and all students, lecturers. This is your time to have those meaningful conversations.
And if you're wondering, well, what is the open house? I would just say go to our website www.ua.aw and look at what's written there at the open house, but also look at all the programs. Maybe you can start preparing to have an idea, orientate on, hey, when I go, this is what I want to go to. Yes. So let's go to liberating woman.
Because remember the title of the day. Right, title of the day, and is breaking the bias that's internationally. So we're bringing this back to our guests. When you hear that the International Women's Organization, UN, they use that theme, breaking the bias, what comes into your thought?
It's Mervine completely.
Myself completely with my vibrators. Because that was also a theme of mine on Facebook. Because for 7 days I was writing some stories about me and about women and a subject. And I put also the subject women and vibrators. And next week it will be women and lovers. Because I think that we need to break all those negative thinking about the needs of women. We are human beings, we have our needs. To go back on Joshua, what Joshua had bullied, I was bullied as a tomboy when I was a kid. Because I was very good in sport, yes. And still, sometimes, because I'm doing bodybuilding intensive, some of those people keep asking me, only lesbian are doing bodybuilding and weightlifting. And then I smiled to them. I said, that is not true, because you don't need to be a lesbian of whatever gender. You can do bodybuilding whenever you want.
Wow. I, in 2022, that we would still consider this when we as women have been fighting to break these stereotypes in every area possible, to hear that that's how
it's still there.
That you're regarded. And also for being a tomboy, what we don't hear anyone complaining about over feminine women who you could discuss, are you selling yourself, yes or no, for being over feminine? This is just a conversation,
Correct.
If you want to look at someone as being tomboy, maybe someone else could say, well, you're something else.
Yes, you're exaggerating. But what I want to know, it's these topics, and the University of Aruba is creating a platform to have these conversations and respect the opinion of others. But for your partner, this must also be very different, because everybody goes like, "Botakune, kikata." How do you deal with it as a couple? Because I think you're all strong as you are with your partner.
He doesn't give a shot. Yes,
Thank you
I
for
wish
that.
because if you go on my Instagram and my Facebook, you see that I post very feminine pictures too.
Pictures, yeah.
And then you see also, because if I'm very, very honest, I did a test about my ability of thinking, feminine and masculine. And it seems that I'm more masculine than feminine in my thinking and in my doing.
Interesting.
Yes, it was very interesting. In the beginning, I was thinking, oh yeah, but it's what it is. And but it's never bothered me. It's never bothered me. But sometimes I put my tie on, my high heels. I don't care. People are allowed of thinking of me what they want. If they are happy with it, I'm happy too. I don't
But you know,
care.
wearing a tie, I mean, what is it, the androgynous look, you know, the masculine look. I mean, that's a look.
Yeah, it is.
Does it say something
Yeah,
about
I
the
think
person?
I think
yes
it's a
or no?
beautiful look. I think
Yes, it's a beautiful
look.
look. So I put my tie off my bow tie.
Yeah, but
and
not because it comes from Gucci or any other brand. I mean, because it's easily more acceptable than if it's just
Yeah.
Marvinet. That's
Yeah, and you know, one of the things they say to you, and they say acknowledging gender bias exists. That's one of the first things we have to do. And then they say whether consciously or subconsciously, gender bias exists in us all. Acknowledging this and cultivating an environment where our team can openly discuss gender bias. How do you cultivate an environment to discuss it? What have you been doing, Joshua, at your end, because I know you're in different podcasts, to cultivate that environment? Because it's something in Aruba, you know, it's International Women's Day. Should we call it International Women's Day, or should we call it International Gender Day? What are you doing to cultivate an environment to have these conversations?
Well, with my social media, for the last couple of years, I would say that I've really been focusing myself on expressing, the feminine power within me and try to bring this confidence to everyone else. I use my social media platform to create a safe environment for everyone, no matter your gender, no matter who you are. I want everyone to feel empowered in their own skin and empowered within their own thinking and be able to freely express themselves no matter what they do. And I always try to bring this aspect in everything that I do with any conversation. We should also remember that every opinion is an opinion, whether it's good or bad, but every opinion has something within their life that have led them to that opinion.
Correct.
So we cannot sort of disregard where they came from.
Okay.
We need to be able to understand people more. And I feel like nowadays it's really easy to say, I'm going to cancel this person because they said, certain things.
Yeah.
But, you have to sort of understand that sometimes it's good to understand the person and where they came from and how they got to that thought process. And if in the end you try to explain to them, hey, this is not correct, this is not a correct way of thinking, and they're still not willing to acknowledge them, then there's nothing else you can do.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm just gonna
Let
like
it go.
yeah,
Yeah.
keep
And that's
going.
an aspect of
Marvinet.
a lifelong learning as well. How
Yeah.
open are you
Are
to
you?
learning,
Exactly.
expanding your knowledge,
And
Exactly.
accept.
and accept? Yeah, Marvinet.
Melvin, you are enjoying your pension years. I can't wait. But
Won't
anyhow,
believe it.
but you are also you teach the teachers, you train the trainers. How do you create an environment?
There are on many levels that I create the environment. Like I try to mentor girls, girls that have like an identity crisis, because how we think about girls that are a little boyish and they are lesbian or bi whatever. That is one. The second is I try to educate women that your body is a nice thing to have and live in it. Why? Because in 2020 I was beginning to put like daring pics from me on social
On your
media.
social media.
And I scare a lot of people with my pics. With Rob Vermeer, I did a photo shooting and I was naked. But I needed to put on certain parts of my body. I need to blurry them because otherwise Instagram and Facebook, they took it off. And then the bully began. You are too old for showing your body. You don't have self-respect. So there are many things coming my way, but I didn't worry about anything. So I kept going. It gave me more motivation to keep going. And going meaning that it was a commitment with myself to have a beautiful body, to work and mold it like I want. And that is very hard to do, but it's not impossible.
And I would like to know,
Yeah.
those comments that you got, were they from women or men?
More women than men.
And this is something
So-
I remember, sorry, Shriz, that in the
Right,
seminar,
right.
we touched base on
Right,
women
right.
supporting women. How important it is.
Yeah.
That is lacking. Still,
Yeah. So
still
how
lacking.
would you having this knowledge and your experience as you're guiding these younger girls? Oh, just let me say, in case you just tuned in, this is a straight up conversation about education with Deborah Alexander, myself, Shari Sundeda, our guests Joshua and Mervine, and we're talking on the topic on breaking the bias.
Gender
And then,
stereotypes.
Yes, gender stereotypes. And yes, so you said you're guiding these women. Also, it's very difficult to talk about. What would you like to tell parents out there, youngsters, how to create that environment to make it more acceptable? What would you think would be the first steps?
They need to accept their children for who they are. Don't begin judging them and tell them, like I hear a lot of them, no, they are in an identity crisis, we need to take them to a psychologist, something like that. And I keep telling, why psychologists? Let them live their life that they want. You need to accept it. And in my family, I try, because we have also in my own family gays and lesbian, and I accept them like my own children. There is nothing wrong with them. You need to let them be happy, because otherwise, I saw a lot of girls and boys. They don't sleep. They want to kill themselves. They want to hurt themselves.
For lack of
It's
lack of acceptance.
Lack of acceptance.
Yeah.
Parents need, the first step is they come, I don't want to tell my parents.
Yeah. And I just want to add, because I know of situations where indeed kids would attempt to kill themselves, and then the parents would be all shooken up, you know, you or the child died. But what if you knew that if you accepted your child, they would be here with you, that there would be no need for this. So let's be mindful as parents. Would you prefer your child being with you and accepting them, or would you prefer them not being here in this world and you living with that what if? Next, in terms of identity, I think it's important that community and parents understand the development phase that their kids are in.
Yes.
There is a phase where we've all been searching for who we are.
Yes.
It starts out, you know, it could be before the teens, but it's trying to figure out. That's where they test you. Ze gaan je uitdagen. They start saying no and yes. They're not influenced by you anymore. And I think if you understand that development phase, you might be able to deal with and accept certain things a bit more better, knowing that along the way things could change.
But then I'm going to look at Joshua and Marvin. Now, for parents, it isn't easy at all, because it's like before it's male and female, punto final. Now there's all these things, and it's very, I think, sometimes when you say accepting it, I mean, we all go through, we all have kids, and okay, not it's yet, but coming up, I'm guessing. And when you go through that phase, it's like, it's so easily said and done, because nobody helped me as a parent, or parents, when we think about it, but where do I go? They have all kind of groups and social media. Where do I go? Because I think for some parents it is difficult. What are your thoughts, and how could you help them make that step in the understanding?
I would say an advice I have for parents is to listen and to try to understand what your kids are trying to tell you, because a lot of the times when we jump into the unknown, we're sort of scared. We're sort of holding back. We're like, oh my God, I don't understand this. I don't want to understand this. Why is everything changing? Why can't everything stay the way they used to be? But times are evolving, and every single year we get to, evolve further as human beings.
New phones are evolving.
New phones, for example.
Yes.
Technology is constantly evolving. So why can't our thought process evolve with that same speed or with that same sort of, level? So a tip I would have for all parents is to always listen and try to understand what your kids are trying to tell you. Even if you don't fully understand, try to embrace them and try to put yourself in their shoes. What are they going through? You know, just close your eyes and sort of imagine their world. And that's how I would sort of phrase it for parents to make it a little bit easier. And of course, it's not always easy. It's not always easy to sort of, because for me, when someone comes to me and tries to, you know, explain to me something that I completely don't understand, they're like, okay, sure, it's all good. But like, you know, afterwards, you just have to sort of respect someone. Respect.
Melvin, I see you're shaking your head, but I see deep thoughts, because I know you've confronted a lot of parents, and it's not always the easiest thing, because parents are like, where do I go?
Yeah. You know, it's because we here on the island, we still have the thoughts, what the neighbor think about me, what my mom, my aunt, my whatever think about me and my kids. It's not about them. It's about you and you children. It's very important. And I had a good friend, and she went to live in Holland, and she came back with her partner, and the parents were very shocked about it. And she told the parents, or you accepted me with my partner, or I will go back and I will never return. So that kid put the parents on a crossroads to choose. Yeah. And I think the parents then, for 2-3 weeks, they were, you know, very silent and quiet. And then they keep understanding, if I don't embrace my child, I will lose her. So... And now it's going far much better. And I think parents need to understand what Joshua said, understand what is happening with my kid. It's not a disease. It's not the devil, or she is possessed, or he is possessed. And we are living in a macho community. Don't forget that. Yeah. And for parents, it's very difficult for their son to tell them, I am gay. And then parents begin. I saw a movie on Netflix how a father was beating the gay out of his son. That is out of the box. That is not something out for this world. You know, we need to accept everybody who they are.
In terms of accepting, I recently read a post from you, Mervine, with your mom. It was the post you put on the 3rd about, of course, we know you as being critical, and that you were not satisfied with a grade that was given to you. And as you said, you compared the score of what you got and your answers with someone else, and they had the same, and they got a 6. And that the teacher said, you know, ik bepaal
je cijfer.
Ik bepaal je cijfer, while you're critical. So you're critical, and you went home. And I think you said your mom did give you a clap.
My mom killed me for what I told the teacher.
But how was it for you? Because you're one of 13 siblings, if I remember. 11,
yes, I am one of the 13. So I am number 10.
The 10, so young. So how did your mom go about in accepting this feisty Mervine that most probably was?
Yeah. Because I am identically like my mom. My mom is a fighting woman. That's why she went back to Collegio, and I got my 6.
Yes, so parents believe in your kids, actually.
Yes, my mom believed in us. And always my mom told me, you are very intelligent. You need to go abroad to do something with your life. And she pushes me for doing everything. I was very naughty. I had a big mouth.
But she
I
never
got
gave up.
a lot of punishment because I didn't listen. That was my problem. When she said go right, I go left.
But it's just so the first. So she wanted to explore life and find your own way. Now, you know, I know you said you're using social media, so, you know, people can log on to that. And, you know, I'm going to ask you to put it in a comment later on so people who would like to follow you to learn about. But do you know if there's a support group for parents? Because I know Netflix has a series. I'm going to invite everybody on, you know, the theme on International Women's Day and breaking the bias. So, you know, you can learn a bit there. But is there a support group here? Because
I don't know. I don't think so.
No, I
you have women empowering women. There are organizations, professional women's network, but that could be seen as providing
yes. And you know
support.
what I also liked Sharon Meyer during the
Presentation,
yeah, during the presentation, you know, she looked at the history of women and, you know, where we came from and where we're going to. And she talked about the incubators, women incubators. And there is so much aid for women out there. But, you know, I'm going to empower all women, all men or females, you know, kind of reach out to each other and don't be afraid to ask the questions. Because first, like you said, we have to accept that there is a difference. We have to accept that there is a bias on gender and learn to talk about it and learn to deal with it. So if you just tuned in, this is straight up conversation about education, a program powered by the University of Aruba. And remember, today is your opportunity to learn more about the universities and all the bachelor's and master program that we offer. But back to you, Deborah, as you were saying.
Yeah, so just saying, you know, the role of our mothers and women in our life plays such an important role. I'm curious, what was one of your most powerful learning moments, Madam Renee?
For both of you.
For both of you, for
Yes,
both. But I'm sorry,
my power moment is to learn that I need to accept myself for who I am. I need to love myself and set goals, because I am a person that I need goals to fight and live for them, you know. And I did a lot in the community for animals, because I founded two foundations from nothing. It's the foundation of the donkeys and the stray dogs.
Yes.
Okay,
yes,
I'm still busy with the stray dogs, because in my opinion, it's not only about gender. It's also we need to accept every organism around us.
Correct.
We need to
Accepting Earth,
treat
Mother Earth.
and try to be kind to whatever is out there, and that is what we are not doing that, and that is a very scary thing.
Yep.
Because if you cannot love a cat or a dog, who can you love? If you cannot love yourself, when you can become happy? Happiness is a choice. It's not a given.
Yeah.
It's not given.
It's not given. You choose to be happy. And I'm telling a lot of women, you need to enjoy your life, because it's your life. You can be married with 5 men, have 20 lovers, 100 kids, but at the end of the day, it's your life. You have to live it, you have to enjoy it, and don't mix slavery with love.
Yeah.
And that is what many women are doing on the island. I hope to finish my PhD. I hope to finish it, because my
Let's
PhD
talk
is
about
about
that.
women. And during my PhD road, I didn't got my support that I need from women to finish my PhD. Okay, and that is still here with me. For 2 years, I didn't do anything with my project. I hope.
But knowing the woman you are, we know you will pick it up.
I will pick it up,
Yes.
because I was telling myself, don't go over there now. Look for now something to enjoy.
Yeah.
Because
That's
doing the
self-love.
PhD, working, and my foundation, it was
It was
very
just too
hard
much.
on me.
So as women, you're also saying, find that balance, no matter how passionate
Yes,
you are.
yes. You
in
need to find
following
a
your
balance,
dream.
yes.
And
Yeah.
can you share with us a bit about your PhD already?
But-
Because sorry.
Yeah, may I ask, before you go into the PhD, could you please ask that question to Joshua? Let's hear it, and then
Yeah,
we'll go.
we can get to teach
move in.
women,
Yeah,
yeah.
because
Sorry,
I know it's
Dr.
going to be
Neil.
very interesting.
keep on asking.
But we have Josh. I know it could be more than an hour, but we have the open house. So
And so it was and finally, it's good for you guys to know when you entered. I wasn't sure if you knew each other, but you both
Now
do
you
dancing
know.
together.
Yes,
So
hi.
So
they were
what-
sharing, you know, how to keep your face young, how to keep your knees strong.
we'll
I
go
was
into
like,
that the
we're
last
going
5
to
minutes, the last 5 tips and tricks.
Okay, but
In the future, I will do a photo shoot with Josh.
Okay,
Oh, okay.
Those beautiful things
Coming
together.
up, the University of Aruba
So
is
Joshua,
creating this platform, and we respect the opinions of all, right?
Yes.
That is what university, because we're liberal, we're open, and we want to share experiences and island
Yes.
stories. So yes,
no. I was just saying the same question goes for you. What was one of your most powerful learning moments?
yes,
I think I sympathize a lot with Mervine when she said that, one of my most powerful moments was to learn to accept myself and to learn to sort of be happy and content with the person that was staring back at me in the mirror. It took me a while. It took me a long fight to finally be able to say, I'm happy with who I am. I'm happy with the person that I've grown into. And I don't regret going through the experiences that I did because they turned me into a stronger, much more confident person. I carried these battle wounds with pride because they made me who I am. So I'm really happy and proud to be able to be the person that I am sitting in front of you guys today. And that's one of my most powerful moments, was to fully
Could you feel
embrace
the
it.
warmth in here? You know,
can't see, he's holding Marinette's hand.
right. Our audience can't see it, but it's, finding and giving each other the support
Yes.
when needed. We may not always understand. And, yesterday we had Daniela, and she says, don't take lemons and make lemonade, but make orange juice and make something different, because
burgers and
you don't
fries.
have to, right? You don't have to remind yourself, but you can thicken your path. You have to be able to take on that challenge.
And I'm just wondering, for someone who's listening in, it's like, yeah, but where do I start? What's your one tip? Where do you start on the journey of self-love?
And self-discovery.
It's a long journey. It's not.
But the first, everything starts with the first step.
Yes.
The first step is you go and stand in front of the mirror, and you can begin looking at yourself, because you need to like yourself. You need to love yourself for whatever you are. Okay? Because in the beginning, when I was a kid, my curly hair, I was bullied about my curly hair. Okay, so curly hair is for Negroes. Curly hair is mahos. Bonoti cabay straight. Cabay bong. So I passed through all those. But at a certain point, I keep looking at myself and say, okay, I am what I am. I have to do what I wanted to do for me, myself, and I. Because at the end of the day, it's about me. I want to live my own life. But it's a choice. But in that life, you have to choose, if you want a partner that accepts you for what you are. And that's why my husband is 40 years with me, and everybody tells me
shout out.
Stewart, to give him an award, because I am a bee.
Be as in butterfly,
A queen.
as in accepting life for who they are.
A bold woman.
A bold woman, yes, a bold woman. Because I am doing,
beautiful.
Yes,
There's
thank
so
you.
many nice things
Yes.
about the B
because
word.
I do what I want, and he never restrict me for anything. When I do my photo shoot, and some of them are very daring, he helped me with everything, put everything in the car. He don't go with me because he keep telling me it's boring. Okay, it's boring. I go and I do my thing. When I come home, he asks me, and how was it? Then you will see the pics.
But that's supporting each other.
Yes.
Right, that's
Because
supporting and
I
accepting
do
each other.
a photo shoot with the boys, 23 years, 29, now with Joshua. I told him also already that I will do a photo shoot with Joshua, and I have my IDs already.
Yeah.
And
So it's accepting each other. So, but still, that first step for you was looking in at marriage, Joshua. What is that first step for you?
That
Taking
first.
back.
Let me go back into the. Taking it back into the memories.
Yeah.
I would say that first step is, it's basically sort of finding what you love about yourself and working on that.
Do you have a journal? Sorry.
Yes, I do. I do have a journal.
Alright,
I
so
do
journaling
journal.
is a way of accepting.
Journaling is a beautiful way of doing it. I journal, for example, every morning. I wake up and I just write down what I'm grateful for and what I've been through, and anything that's on my mind. I just write it down, and that's a good way to express your emotions. It's a great way to put everything up.
You know, it's nice that you mentioned that, because those at social work and development, one of the programs we have at the university, journaling is actually a part on where, we pay a lot of attention to personal development, not only at the social work and development bachelor program, but also in academic foundation years and the others. And it's learning to love yourself.
Beautiful.
And journaling can really help you.
No,
So
it really
shout
can.
out to Clemencia Eugene.
Yes,
She's really
and mindfulness
the,
as well.
Yes, the
Mindfulness.
person on introducing journaling and mindfulness. So
No, I
back
love
at you.
that. No, I love that. I love that so much. I'm a person who I believe a lot in a higher being and the universe. I absolutely love that, but that's why I journal every morning. I visualize every morning. Sometimes I meditate in order to cleanse my spiritual being. So I do love that a lot. I love that a lot. So I definitely would recommend that for anyone who is sort of struggling to express themselves in a way. and to, get back and feel themselves back spiritually.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to go because I'm curious about Marvin, even though for now you have parked it a bit, but just for you to share a bit
Yes.
about your
And then
your PhD. But when I was reading your bio and knowing you through the years, we know you drum,
I drum, yes.
which is also
Yeah.
often a musical instrument that is often not played by women. I am actually looking to have my daughter do it because I think
I am the only one at Casa Cultura as a woman that, and with my age,
Yeah,
drumming.
but we do see more women now in the brass bands because we just had shout out to Massive Brass Band, but they have compared before, there are many more women that are actually taking on the challenge and expressing themselves. You are definitely paving that way for them.
And you have your Harley.
And
So that is something that through the years we've seen also shift from
I
women.
was the first lady of Harley on the island.
Yeah.
So you paved the way for many.
Yes,
In
yes.
1998, they gave me the award of the first lady of Harley on the island.
Wow. Now we have 10 minutes more to go,
Yes.
so we want to use it wisely.
Right. So it's because once you talk with Marvin a bit about a PhD, I want to go back because I know you're traveling to the Netherlands also, and I just want to see because you started academic foundation, you went to Canada, going to the Netherlands, so that's an interesting journey. So we have to take time and then
So let me
look
see.
at yes.
So Marvin, we know you started with your PhD and everything happens in the right moment, and you focused on women. What specifically about women? Can you just share with us a bit about your PhD
your
and your
research.
findings? Don't share it too much because you want us to read it, even though
Or
we're not
your research
reading
topic.
research topic, and what you found out up until now.
Till now, what I found out is that women, they don't live their lives. They live for their kids and for their partner. The partner and kids is 80% of their life. And what happened, when something happened, the husband, they divorce or something happened and the children go abroad. And then they sit at home. What did I do with my life? Nothing.
Yeah.
Because they don't take the time for themselves. You can have kids, but you need to love yourself. You need to do something for
Time
you.
out,
Yes, like my mom taught me that. My
wow.
mom, at 4 o'clock in the evening, we are with 13, we are not allowed of going into the kitchen where she is reading her Panorama Magritte and
I
Libelle.
read that you sneaked and read it, yes.
So only if you are bleeding. If you're dying, you were allowed
So
of...
she was very adamant of
that
creating
was-
her own
yes,
space, moment, time.
And my father, that was I love from him. My father come from work. He was working in the refinery and had shifts. She come at 4 o'clock. She take all of us to the park at Juliana's school.
Yeah.
In front there was a big
Beautiful
playground.
Park, yeah.
And my father took us there to give my mom her hour. Then my mom can go do her hair, her nails, whatever. And my
Awesome.
father
Wonderful.
took care of us. And my father, that is what
13
I
of
learned.
you.
He took care of us and helping my mom. And that's why I choose Stuart as a husband. Because he is independent. I don't do anything for him. I don't cook, I don't clean, I do nothing. He's still there for 40 years. Because he do everything for himself.
But you love each other.
Because we love each other. I am not his mother and he has 2 hands. And that is what many women don't understand. You don't, how you call that? Yaya e hamber. Because you work too, botar doce, tem caso, vamos se trabalhar junto.
All right, I think
are
that's the key
companion
element
of
is
life.
right, companion and working
Okay,
towards each other
may I say
and
one
with
thing?
each other.
In my ideal life, every woman, of man, whatever, needs 3 persons. Doesn't matter which gender. 1, intelligent to make children with. The second one is your companion of life. And the third one, tabo divertition, or lover. Kiko te problema. You know what I mean? Charis, we have to liberate ourselves from all those boundaries.
Yeah.
Because it's not about we married and you stay with somebody. You know how many people come into your life that you fall in love again? A lot. And we don't think about it.
I can just hear the audience, like thinking from it. We're not finished yet. We're not finished yet. Yes, but
that's why we had Mervine,
Yes.
because this is a conversation. It's an educational conversation, and people
Correct.
where we are
Breaking the bias.
breaking the bias in women's education and development. But
So now, just before, thank you for sharing that on your topic,
for
and we know
sharing.
you're going to get back on your research because you are very adamant when you start something, you are going to finish. So, we're coming to the end, but Joshua, you're going to also make an interesting switch because when you were you sure what you wanted to do? Because then you moved to Canada, and then now you're moving to the Netherlands. Could you just tell us a bit about that, if it's okay?
Yes, no, of course. So I finished my higher education in Toronto at the Centennial College in a graphic design program. And after I finished, because of COVID, I finished it completely online. So I finished the last year here in Aruba. And afterwards, I was actually planning on moving back to Toronto to finish everything off at the university there. However, because of COVID, sort of the application process sort of got messed up a little bit where my application did not get processed at all. It was sort of a bittersweet moment, right? Because you're like, ugh, but I'm really happy because it gave me the opportunity of staying here for a year more and
Being
meeting new people
super
and working.
creative.
Yes, I'm really, really happy. So I definitely took a switch from what I initially wanted to do at the university. I initially wanted to study dance, but then eventually I decided to go with graphic design because I found a passion in graphic design as well. And I was like, you know what, I kind of want to do that, but I never give up on dance. I never give up. So if everything goes according to plan, this summer I will be moving to the Netherlands to finish off my higher education completely, and then I can finally say, hey, I am a full-time graphic designer with, my degrees, with my papers. And I made that switch because, one, the application process in Toronto didn't really do anything for me, and two, my sister will be moving there as well, so I decided to go with her.
Daniela Cura said it's not about the papers, it's finding your purpose is joy and fulfillment. And as long as you enjoy whatever you find and your purpose, you will enjoy it. Yesterday she was at the University of Aruba, and hopefully, she's going to be back. So shout out to you, Daniela. And as the theme today was, we're coming to a close, and the theme today was breaking the bias. And they say way to reduce bias or something are identify your bias, pursue empathy, increase diversity, and consciously act. Deborah, it's your time to say the goodbyes and your last word.
With that, there's nothing else that needs to be added because I think it's very deep. Those points presented, but I would like to thank Joshua and Mervine for this straight up conversation about education, because we're helping educate our community and perceptions. And for everyone who's tuned in right now at Sappy Mix on Facebook and all other social media platforms, thank you for tuning in with us this hour, and we hope to see you in an hour at the University of Aruba.
And if you have any questions or you would like to hook up with Joshua or Mervine, just leave your comments, send an email to cll@ua.away, and we hope to see you next week to have a conversation about education, a program powered by University of Aruba with our host Deborah Alexander
and Sharice Hunt daily.
Thank you so much.
Thursday, 3:30 to 4:30.
Yes, and we'll be soon on Massive 103.5.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you so much, and have an inspired day.
Thank you.
Yo, you don't know. We going global with this thing. Boom, top class university. What a global opportunity.